My heart's on fire. Your love burns in me. Eternal is your flame. I'm calling out your name. You lift me higher, rising up on wings.
We're now going to talk here about abstaining. Government and university studies, both in the United States and in the United Kingdom, confirm that 75% of the people aged 18 to 29 believe that it is completely acceptable for unmarried couples to live together even if they don't plan to marry. The numbers are startling. People are cohabiting. They are now outnumbering those wanting to get married and those who want to stay single. Can you believe that? There's more people now that are just moving in together than there are those who want to get married or remain single. They're not just moving into apartments or houses for any reason. They're doing it out of convenience, sometimes for economic benefit. And now the stigmas are being removed on what they call cohabitation, like previous generations condemned all of that. People now are just moving in together. They're not getting married. It's just part of the dating process. Well, you guys may remember many years ago on MTV there was this movie, and it was called Everybody's Doing It. Everybody is doing it. And what it was a satire mocking abstinence. The whole thing was focused on this girl, and they challenged her, don't have sex with your boyfriend. And the whole thing turned into a satire to mock abstinence and anybody who believed in it. That's what they did. So researchers, they're no longer concerned. They're just reporting the statistics to us that more and more people, they're just moving in. They're not getting married. They're just having sex. And the truth is, they don't ever plan on getting married. That's their thinking today. Scary how far we have fallen. Paul uses this word. We just saw it, right, in 1 Thessalonians. For this is the will of God, your sanctification, that you should abstain from sexual immorality, porneia. Peter said, I beg you. He's saying, I'm begging you, beloved. You're loved by God. As sojourners and pilgrims, abstain from fleshly lusts. Why? Because they war against your soul. Another verse says, abstain from every appearance of evil. You know what? If you're a Christian and your girlfriend is a Christian and your neighbor looks out and sees you with a Bible in your hand, you walk into her apartment and they see you leaving there at 1 a.m, they're not assuming you had a Bible study in there. You're giving an appearance that you're doing something evil. And even though you may not have done anything, what you did was you gave the appearance that you were. And even that is wrong. You're giving the appearance to other people that you're doing evil things. Abstinence and abstaining come from the same Latin word. They mean to hold yourself away, to refrain. In the New Testament, the word is very similar in definition. Apocheomai means to hold oneself off, to keep oneself away, to keep your distance. Very simply, this is not hard. This is not some deep scientific thing. Paul is simply saying, don't do it. Stop. Close the door to this. Abstain from doing these things. This is not legalism. This is holiness. So we go now to the book of Acts. And it's interesting that the only 3 times in the book of Acts do we see the word sexual immorality. Pornuo. 3 times. It's interesting here as you read this text that they were sending a letter out. These people were getting saved. And Paul and Barnabas had met with the the elders and the apostles in Jerusalem. And the Gentiles were turning to the Lord, what Paul and Barnabas had done. All these people were turning to the Lord, and they came to them and they were dealing with this issue of circumcision. And they said, hey, you know what? Let's write a letter to all these new converts, all these new Gentiles. But they said, let's not put a big burden on them. Let's not put the law. None of that. That's not what saves you. Let's just have them trust in the Lord. But we need to write them a letter of some things that they shouldn't be doing. And guess what? Because there was so much sexual morality in the letter, they said, hey, make sure you abstain from fornication. Don't fornicate. And he says that here in Acts 15. He tells them in verse 20, let's write to them to abstain from things polluted by idols, from sexual immorality, from things strangled, and from blood. As they write the letter, which starts in verse 23, they're writing the letter, and they finally get verse to 28 and 29. I love these words. It seems good to the Holy Spirit. I love that. The Holy Spirit agrees with what we're doing here. We're getting direction here from the Holy Spirit to lay no greater burden than these necessary things. These are necessary, that you abstain. Stop it. Don't do this. When there's things offered to idols, from blood, from things strangled, and from sexual immorality. He says, if you keep yourselves, that's a beautiful definition, keep yourselves from these, you will do well. I love the wording there. And there's another reference also where they talk about what they told these Gentile believers in Acts 21, verse 25. So abstain, don't do this. This is not legalistic. This is holiness. This is what God required. This is what the Holy Spirit expected. This is what was well and was good. It's necessary that we give these people. You know what? They could have listed any of the 10 commandments. They could have said, make sure you keep the Sabbath. They could have said, make sure you don't steal, you don't covet, you don't murder, you don't do this, you don't bear false witness. No, he said, make sure you don't commit sexual immorality, because everybody else is doing it. You want to make sure you're not involved in it, because if you do, it's going to go well with you. And I want to tell you right now, brothers, let us receive that good word from the Lord. You may be hearing a lot of negative things today from the comments here, but let's receive that good word from the Lord. When you keep yourselves pure, it's going to go well with you. It's going to go well in your marriage and in your life when you keep yourself pure and you abstain from sexual immorality. All right, in the next teaching here, we're going to go to 1 Corinthians again, because Paul says a lot about the body, and we're going to talk about fornication and your body here in 1 Corinthians chapter 6.